Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage ACCT Chair-elect and Trustee from Long Beach City College in California, Roberto Uronga.
Thank you. You know, I was reminded today that the voice of God has many names, but today his name is Shane. Thank you, Shane, for that wonderful introduction. Did you enjoy your lunch today? Did you have a good, was it good? Did you enjoy it? Okay. Please let the staff know that you really appreciated their service, because I know for me, those jalapenos were hot. I know they're probably mad at me now. Everybody's going to be asking for jalapenos from here on out. They're going to have to stock up. Now, it is my honor to introduce this afternoon's distinguished speaker, Dr. Anthony S. Breik, President of the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. Dr. Breik held the Spencer Chair in Organizational Studies in the School of Education and the Graduate School of Business at Stanford University from 2004 until assuming Carnegie's presidency in September 2008. Prior to Stanford, he held the esteemed post of Marshall Field IV Professor of Education in the Sociology Department at the University of Chicago, where he founded the Center for Urban School Improvement, which supports reform efforts in the Chicago public schools. My accent comes out every now and then. Dr. Breik also founded the Consortium on Chicago School Research, which has produced a range of studies to advance and assess urban school reform, and he has also made contributions to the development of new statistical methods in educational research. At Carnegie, he is leading work on strengthening the research and development infrastructure for improving teaching and learning. Dr. Breik, holds a bachelor's degree from Boston College, an EDD from Harvard University, and in 2010, he was conferred an honorary doctorate by Boston College for his contributions to educational reform. Please join me in giving Dr. Breik a warm ACCT welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Roberto. And I'd like to thank the ACT leadership and its president, Noah Brown, for the invitation to speak with you this afternoon. Today is a very special occasion. It's the first time in the 100-plus year history of the Carnegie Foundation that its president has had the opportunity to address the trustees and leaders of our nation's community colleges. It's with great pleasure and much appreciation that I join you today. Back a second. We have technology. Thank you. We live in extraordinary times. Our nation now asks much more of our educational institutions than ever before. All of our educational institutions are under intense scrutiny. Never have been the expectations so high. And community colleges are now rightly seen in the front line of the American dream of self-betterment through education. The education of almost half of our nation's post-secondary students are your responsibility. You are charged with providing a gateway to opportunity for the poor, minority, and students from families where maybe neither mom nor dad had a college education. Your efforts are now a highly visible part of a much larger American narrative. All across this land, we want all of our educational institutions to be more effective, to advance more ambitious academic outcomes for many more students. We also want them to be more engaging and responsive to the diverse interests and needs of the students who might enter our doorways. For far too many students walk out those doors and never return. And we want our schools and colleges to be more efficient in the use of their resources, as public funding is highly stressed and likely to be so for some time to come. Advancing any one of these goals would be ambitious. Moving simultaneously on all three, what we have come to call the triple aims of educational improvement, is unprecedented. This is the context for my remarks today. Now let me tell you a little bit about us, the Carnegie Foundation. During its more than 100-year history, Carnegie has been a catalyst for institution building in education. Back in the day when college faculty lacked a pension system, you literally taught till you dropped. The Carnegie Foundation brought the first educational pension system, TIA-CREF, into existence. Carnegie has focused on improving professional education, including work that dramatically changed the preparation of doctors, Flexner Report. Carnegie has sought to advance fairer ways to admit students to colleges and universities, which led to the formation of Educational Testing Service. The foundation did groundbreaking work on federal higher education policy, which eventually led to Pell Grants for student financial aid. And my predecessor, Lee Schulman, nurtured the emergence of a scholarship of teaching and learning, where we took seriously the work of faculty to systematically study their practice and improve it. To this day, we remain a small operating foundation, not to be confused with our much larger and much better endowed sibling, the Carnegie Corporation of New York. Regardless, Carnegie Foundation remains a most unusual organization. With each new president, the foundation picks up a new challenge. To fulfill Andrew Carnegie's original charge to us, to use well his private philanthropy to advance the public good, we must pick our tasks extremely carefully, as we can only do a small number of things. This is why standing here today is especially significant for me. The foundation board at Carnegie has embraced my recommendation that we commit ourselves to further advance student success in community colleges. Thank you. Personally, I can think of no more important issue demanding our attention. This is Carnegie's new mission for these times. Let me tell you a bit about myself, which led me to this point. Neither of my parents had the benefit of even a high school education, but they knew that education matters. And they both labored throughout their lives to assure that I had a good education, so that I would not have to work hard like them. For me, learning mathematics, learning statistics became a gateway to opportunity. For almost 20 years before I moved to the West Coast, I lived in Chicago and worked with teachers, principals, school community leaders, heads of colleges, businesses, and foundations, all of whom were seeking to improve educational opportunities for our nation's most disadvantaged public education system. Our shared goal during that time was to keep students in school long enough to get them to your doorsteps. As I moved to Carnegie, I quickly learned that access to higher education was really only the first step. Student success in college was the real hurdle. And let me illustrate. A typical cohort of 13-year-olds in the city of Chicago is about 40,000 students. About 60% of them will eventually graduate high school, the rest not. The better prepared among those graduates, top 60%, better prepared among those, will go on to post-secondary education, many in community colleges. So even before Chicago students get to our doorsteps, the majority of their classmates would have been culled out. Yet, upwards of 80% of these successful high school students who enroll in college will subsequently be tracked into developmental education, developmental mathematics education, and upwards of 80% of those students will never get out. For far too many students, developmental mathematics education is where aspirations for a better life through education comes to an end. Looking nationally, a back-of-the-envelope calculation indicates that over 2 million students who entered community colleges in the fall of 2008 have still not completed a college-level math course. For these students, life and career goals are likely to be thwarted, a circumstance with dire consequences for them as individuals and for all of us as a society. I believe we must do better, and I believe working together we can. So how are we trying to work on this? As I began at the foundation as its president in 2008, it seemed inconceivable to me that we could make progress on those triple aims of improvement without a much more vibrant research enterprise focused on what really matters, improving teaching and learning. The problems we confront today are not about individual faculty competence or effort. Faculty and staff in community colleges are very good people, and they work quite hard. But they live and work in what has become a very complex system, a system that regularly produces results that no one intends, and sometimes we don't even see. So it's not a need for better people. What we need are smarter systems, organizations capable of learning and improving, that see learning and change as what it means to be vital and alive. To be clear, I'm not talking about some ivory tower enterprise where a select group of academics talk to others like themselves and speak and write in ways that virtually nobody else can understand. Rather, we aim to put the day-to-day work of educators at the center of our activity. We focus on solving practical problems that have genuine consequences for people's lives. We're organizing our work around measurable targets for specific things we seek to accomplish, and we want to use data to hold ourselves accountable in that work. As we began our program, we set an immediate goal to double the rate of students who are able to earn college-level credits in mathematics within 1 year of enrollment in a community college. At that point in time, we had no data. We now know, in this network of colleges with which we're working, the baseline results. About 5% of the students in these colleges actually achieve college math credit in 1 year. Doubling that seems imminently feasible. With a bit more time, we see no reason why a target of 50% is unattainable. In collaboration, oops, I just